Hi guys, welcome to a video, and in today's video I just wanted to raise awareness about mental health and accessibility to support for it. I'm not a doctor, but this topic is very important to me, hence why I like to make videos about it and keep people aware of mental health, because I just don't think there is enough awareness about it, and there's certainly not enough access to healthcare when it comes to people's mental health. I feel like a lot of people have a set idea about mental health, but actually it's such a broad spectrum, and really it can range from feeling constantly low, constantly irritable, constantly angry, to a whole host of other things which impact your own health and other people around you. I think the first big thing about mental health is acknowledgement, and acknowledging that you're maybe not feeling so great, or you're maybe feeling a certain type of way. I think so many people kind of sweep things under the carpet and they repress things, and they just think feeling bad is like the norm, but actually it's not. And I think the biggest and the hardest step when dealing with mental health is just acknowledging that maybe not everything is okay. The next step after acknowledgement is acceptance of mental health. Mental health is something everybody has for their whole lives, and it can be very hard to just accept that depression is going to be a part of your life forever, or anxiety is going to be a part of your life forever. And it's not easy. It's something that I've struggled with, but it is an important step in dealing with mental health. The third thing is taking steps, however tiny, however small, to kind of deal with your mental health or deal with how you're feeling, because I think it's super important to not let things fester. It's not easy, there's absolutely no rush, everybody goes at their own pace, but I just think taking steps is so important in all areas of life, but especially with our health and mental health. That is where accessibility comes in. Again, because of the lack of awareness around mental health, it's not always easy to access healthcare or access therapy. Also, not everybody is privileged enough to be able to access therapy. So I just wanted to talk about some of the things that can be done which hopefully appeal to everybody to some extent, whatever your situation. First and foremost, I do recommend, if possible, seeing a doctor. That is the number one thing that I would recommend, mainly because it's just good to get checked out and make sure the way that you're feeling isn't maybe linked to something else and something physical. And also a doctor can hopefully point you in the right direction and maybe talk about things that are right for you and steps that are right for you, and they are medical professionals. The next step is therapy. Now, I know therapy isn't exactly accessible to everybody. Therapy is expensive, it's a luxury, but therapy doesn't have to be one-on-one. There are lots of ways to get therapy. You can do it online, you can download apps, you can do it via text. You can also ring free helplines. Any kind of talking is a form of therapy. It doesn't have to cost you money. Obviously, in an ideal world, we'd all have access to one-on-one, face-to-face counselling. That would be wonderful. But another useful thing is to look at charities in your area that deal with mental health, or look at local services which maybe offer free counselling or offer affordable counselling, like low-cost counselling. Speaking of apps, I think downloading mental health apps are ultimately a good thing. We live in an age where we're always on our phones, so it makes sense that we should have something mental health related on our phones. There are various apps you can download to monitor your mood, to have access to some kind of therapy, to access free meditation, just stuff like that, and I think it's well worth looking into. Speaking of phones, social media is also something to be aware of, and to be aware of the kind of media you're consuming and how it's making you feel. I think maybe cater it to what makes you feel good. Not saying you have to stick your head completely in the sand, but just at least have that nice balance. Definitely don't just have a feed with things that make you constantly angry and unhappy. Cats are a great remedy for that, or if you're not a cat person, dogs. If you're not an animal person, plants. Speaking of plants, I think it's always good to have a hobby to distract you, or something to be involved in. It sounds really basic, but plants have really changed my life, It just started as like a little hobby. I thought it would just maybe kind of brighten the room and brighten the mood and kind of maybe just bring a little bit of joy to my life, and now it has completely consumed me. And just for example, the other day I was feeling really low and I didn't want to get out of bed, but I had to get out of bed and deal with the plants because they had a bug infestation. It sounds so romantic, my life, but what I'm saying, my plants are something to care for, so they give me something to kind of live for in a way, not to get deep. Exercise is a big thing as well. When I say exercise, I'm not talking about you have to go out jogging, you have to go to the gym, or any of these things. It can be as simple as just doing some stretches in your bedroom. It really doesn't have to be anything strenuous. It's just good to kind of get the blood moving, and stretching kind of bleeds into yoga. Yoga kind of sounds quite intense, but it is just really stretching in various positions. So it's just something worth looking into. It doesn't need to be anything daunting. As I say, baby steps are fantastic. Essentially, what I've had to do is become aware of negative thinking and negative patterns in my life, and I've started to look at my mind as a garden, and it's up to me what I fill this garden with. Am I going to fill it with positive things, or am I going to fill it with negative things? And it's also about challenging the way that you think and the way that you feel. A lot of the times we speak to ourselves in a way we would never ever speak to a best friend, and it's good to think of yourself as a best friend because you're with you for the rest of your life, and it's good to be supportive of yourself and try not to get trapped in negative thinking. It's not easy, it's not going to happen overnight, it's just something to be aware of. Again, that word awareness, and something to challenge your way of thinking, rebuild the garden in your mind. And lastly, I just want people to know they're not alone. I mean, if you're struggling with mental health, you're really not alone. 1 in 2 people do struggle with their mental health, and it's absolutely just a part of being alive sometimes, and you're absolutely not the only person to be going through a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, a bad year. And I think we kind of live in a time where everybody shows their best side on social media, and we're not really aware of the struggles that are going on behind the scenes. But it's safe to say that most people do have their own struggles, and it's just best to kind of be aware of that. And I mean, it's something that I'm working on myself as well. Okay guys, so I hope that helped some of you. I hope this video raises a bit of awareness for people who weren't really kind of aware before about mental health stuff. I will leave links and stuff in the description. If you have any suggestions or helpful tips of your own, please leave them in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for instant disappointment. Take care of yourselves, and goodbye.